This week goes without saying, Kim and I, in a lesser extent, have been rather busy again. Certain groups have come forward, and I'm going to post a bit about what Tank wrote, including a response from Kim, and gives people some background again. There is a lot of new members, and if you're not clear after this, you're never going to be. Now, Kim has asked again, and there's been numbers of reports pulled on agency type reports this week. I think it was 50 in one day. And she wants everyone to know that she'd be happy to provide proof of her title, position, abilities, and also access to the trust. But as soon as someone provides proof of what Kim asked for a year and a half ago, and then you get crickets like the names of Chinese elders. They can't give you any names because there is none. It's all fake. And proof of a running QFS, which is the latest in the RV clown arena, that they've got a quantum system. Good luck with that, you know. So when the name of Chinese elders are handed over, or the trustees that allegedly Kim and the trust stole off, courtesy of Anna von Reitz, and when we asked for the names so we can check up whether there was funds for those trustees, subsequently that went to crickets also. You know, if you're if you're trying to prove something, that someone has ownership, the first thing you would do is provide proof, would you not? And yet when the door is thrown open for proof of funds, or request of proof that you own those funds, of which Kim would then hand over, they won't give names. Because there is none. That's the problem. You know, every single one of them now knows that they give everything away and were duped. All these trustees, Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Warburgs, JP Morgans, you name it. Every single one of them was duped big time. They got pieces of paper, and Marduk took all the assets. And then he cut them all off in 2007, because he had everything then. That's why Kim, who is now running the trust, technically owns everything on the planet. Every building, every bank, every central bank, Federal Reserve, IRS, you name it. Because these so-called elites handed over everything. You know? Then they say, Tank's report, he said, Kim has repeatedly moved funds into various countries, including the US government, to pay for various aspects of business operations only within the government. In other words, all the funds that were given, or Kim's given, is to keep people in jobs and their pay. There's very little else. Very little else. You know, some people and you could argue on some cases that they're correct. You know, we had one member on the MeWe saying we shouldn't give money to the government and don't give money to the agencies. So when I asked where that person was then going to employ the 25 million government and agency people that you've just fired overnight, where he was going to place them, again, crickets. It's reaction to the now and not thinking. How are you going to tell 25 million people you're out of a job? What would happen then? Well, of course, they'll all blame Kim again, because that's the easy thing to do, you see. well, Kim paid it before and now she's not paying it, and then it's Kim's fault. No. So, whilst me personally not happy with the way the government hasn't, I don't feel they've done sufficient to help Kim. It's up to Kim to have her own opinion on that. That's mine. You can't just turn around and tell 25 million people you're not working anymore. And then you have the case of every random person. This is similar to the Anna von Reitz nonsense, claiming access to heritage accounts, historical assets, or any of the major trust accounts has been given the opportunity to enter their codes into a proper terminal and bring funds into the financial system, except Kim. They all tried it, they all failed. Why? Because there's only Kim who's got the codes as the guardian of the trust. None of them is successful, but Kim has funded every country in the world without a terminal. The Chinese elders' version of the alleged quantum financial system lasted around 12 minutes the last time it was launched before the real quantum system shut it down completely, which is what was mentioned in our intel. We only left it 12 minutes for various reasons. It could have been shut down in 12 seconds. Kim has offered to enter codes into the system at the same time as anyone else on the planet to prove who has the authority over the assets of the planet and also the quantum system, and to date no one has dared to take it up on the offer. They won't, because they know. They all know. And Tank went on, Kim also wanted me to share a more clear view of her personal values in reference to some comments made attempting to attack her character and worth. That was what Tank said. I will add my own piece into this. For the people in life who want to dig into people's lives to find faults because it justifies their own sad existences, here's some background on Kim. Kim ran her own business, very successful as well, with hundreds of employees, and was making personal of $1 million a month. So she was very successful and diligent of what she was doing. She had the nice house, the nice car, travelled all over the world on business and pleasure. And whilst in Russia on doing a gold deal on behalf of the American government, this role was presented to her, of which she had no idea what it entailed, or whether she would qualify for it, or how and why she was asked to do it. But this, she found, was no ordinary role. It was only later determined the whole implications of it via the DNA aspect and the enormity of it and the sheer scale of it, both in terms of assets and, let's say, other interesting things. She had, in her own words, not much knowledge in terms of what we cover in our shows. Around 20%, her words, not mine, she felt. And then she went on a quest to find out information of who is who, not only in terms of finance, which was her business, but everything this job she's doing covers. In essence, it covers all aspects of life, the planet, society, and requires a knowledge of most of them to go forward with. Think of where all the funds will go. It's going to involve all levels of society, including government. And I can see Kim rolling her eyes now. The government. Government, Thomas, I wouldn't do that job for all the tea in China. Not because of the people involved in it, although there are some elements are best avoided, as we all know, but because of the way that system is run. It's archaic, and it's not designed to run anything resembling smooth or for and by the people. It's only chaos and drama and theatre. And as she wasn't getting any answers from the so-called higher-up people, she sought out knowledge within our community. And our show we did with Shane, and I was back in Cosmic Voice, and the follow-up, the faction show, garnered more attention. And after speaking with Shane for a bit, she then came to me, and then the learning curve went up for both of us. We were like sponges. Kim telling me all she knows, and I was partaking of my knowledge. The last 3 years have been quite a roller coaster ride for both of us, but in particular for Kim. Like me, she expected so much more from people in so-called important positions, but the tentacles of corruption, gang stalking, verbal threats, physical threats, people not doing the job, most of whom are only being paid because of Kim. And then you've got people committing treason against the country and not being held accountable, whilst good people are labelled terrorists because they had the audacity to speak the truth. Ain't that right, Pelosi? Failed. People have asked her for proof, and she showed them. People have asked her to transfer funds to the government and Treasury, and she did. But when it was time to return some of the funds that are owed to Kim, which is hers by right, we get crickets, blocks, threats. Ain't that right, Mr. Mnuchin? And before all the sanctimonious people ask why Kim is entitled to 2% of any transaction, the question I will ask back is, where were you people asking that of the previous trustee holder? None of you asked then, did you? Of course, none of you had the balls to challenge him. You all sat there like pussies, bound to his every whim. Yes, king, 3 bags full, king. While he stole everything off us all, including you. To the people in the alt media questioning the 2% fee, I would ask, would you walk away from $1 million a month job for no pay? Well, would you? Think about it. And I mean, really think about it. Would you carry on in a job for no pay for 6 years? Again, would you? Would you put your life on the line every single day to do a job for currently no pay, being shot at, poisoning attempts, gin attacks, bank accounts blocked, assassination squads turning up on your doorstep? Well, would you? Of course none of you would, and therein lies the problem. It's all too easy to sit at your computer and complain about 2% fees or ask why Kim is in this role. For me, or for me for that matter, none of you would last 5 minutes in this role. None. And that's not a compliment to Kim or me. That's an indictment of the rest of society who won't really stand up and be counted. Not only to save this country, but yourselves. Kim is entitled to 2% of the fees because Kim is the guardian of the trust. Why? Because she's 99.8% attached to every root race on this planet is why. And I don't want to hear legalese stating that it's not in trust rules to receive compensation. This trust does not operate under earth-based rules. It never did. It's an entirely separate entity altogether, and people need to get over it. That's why it was called the known country. Not attached, you see, but it wasn't for us. Nobody questioned the running of it before Kim, so don't question it now. But Kim is not collecting the 2% for herself like her predecessor did. Oh no. It's going to be shared out amongst the people, which is the main reason why the clowns and the service to self agents don't want Kim to have the 2%. Kim's been told. They don't want the public to have nothing. And I'll repeat again for the hard of hearing and never listen people again. They want you, the general public, to have nothing. Let that sink in. And I mean really sink in. Many want to sit at the top of the table for the glamour of it. And Kim and I, to a degree, work at the top table. But both of us are content to sit in the bleachers with you all. And this is the essence of Kim. Something for all you critiques of her and the people with titles and badges need to aspire to become. Let me tell you this here and now, and this is my opinion only. None of you are fit to lace her shoes. And I'll repeat, none of you. So when you all sit there in your so-called high offices sneering because she's a woman, you are the epitome of what's wrong with society today. Riddled with insecurities, fear, low self-worth, and no matter how many fake badges or titles you collect, or you were given to play their game, that in our world is called bribery. Look it up. None of you have the balls Kim has. Not one of you has the courage, conviction, fortitude, will, inner strength, compassion or valour to match her. None of you. Look up the word valour, chaps, and grasp it. I would love for you all to prove me wrong. In fact, I welcome it. But my challenge to you all is, will you? The system created a monstrous plot against humanity and placed you all as tiny, minuscule cogs within that wheel. And most of you had or have no idea of the depth of it or what Kim, I and some others have been fighting for on your behalf. And the battle for humanity itself. That wheel is grinding to a halt because of the few. Only time will reveal the full extent of our work. But it's time for you to do your part in it. But have you got the balls?